What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikiPikaPapa, and you know, as I sat down to shoot this video, I had a bunch of things that were running through my mind, and I think the whole direction, the whole trend, the whole tone of this video is going to fundamentally change, and I'm changing it on the fly, so please bear with me. I don't think this video is going to be about what Shrouded Fable isn't. I think this video is going to be about what all of the other specialty sets leading up until Shrouded Fable have been, because it has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, these specialty sets, since 2019, that's as far as I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at the last 9 specialty sets. They have set the bar incredibly high, and I think that is something that we need to remember as we talk about Shrouded Fable, and I think that's something we need to keep in mind as we go through this video, right? And then there's a couple other things that I wanted to call out early on. First and foremost, one of the things that I love so much about the Pokemon hobby is that there's so many different ways for people to enjoy it. You can enjoy it on the video games, you can enjoy it by playing the card game, right? Obviously, you can enjoy it by collecting, investing, which is what I love. And then not every set has to check every box, right? Not every set is going to be great for collectors and investors, but you have a set like Shrouded Fable, which I think is going to be really, really impactful for the gameplay. Like, I know that you can poison one of these cards, right? And then he becomes a one-hit wonder in the KO status, and I think that's really cool. And not every set has to be the best for collecting and investing in the future. If all sets were the best, then there wouldn't be a best, right? We would just have this kind of line of mediocrity across all of these sets from a collecting and investing standpoint. So I think there's awesome art in here. I love the fact that this is going to be really impactful on the gameplay. And so I think for all of those reasons, Shrouded Fable is something that a lot of us really should be excited about, right? Like, the joy I get from this hobby is sharing all of my information and sharing my passion of it with you all, and also doing this with my family and collecting them, right? And so you know I'm a collector and an investor. And the other thing I want to say is this, like, I am not canceling my order of Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. I still have 2 cases on pre-order, and I am very excited to get them. I have 2 loose boxes. As I said, I do this with my family. We get 2 loose boxes of those Pokemon Center ETBs. We open them as a family. We send the promo cards through to get them graded by PSA. We're trying to build a PSA 10 set of all those Pokemon Center stamped promos. So listen, I still think that these Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes from Shrouded Fables have a good opportunity for investment in the long run, because think about some of these other sets that haven't had a whole lot of love and excitement in them in the past. I mean, the list is long and the list is deep, but the sealed product a lot of times does really well, and that's because people don't necessarily buy it to keep it sealed, because they think the set isn't that great. They don't necessarily, they just don't have them laying around 5, 10, 15 years in the future, and it's the rarity and it's the demand that drives that. And as we've always seen up until this point, at least with Scarlet and Violet, when they release these Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, they come out, they usually sell out, they might do a small restock, but then after that, they never come back in stock. Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes are the absolute rarest when it comes to the sealed product for any of these specialty sets. So I absolutely love that. And I think that even though this might not be the best from a collecting, from an investing standpoint, we're going to look at the singles cards from a lot of these sets here, these big 9 from the last specialty sets. We're going to look at the top 2 chase cards from there. And I think those are going to be really cool to look at. And then we're going to look at Shrouded Fables, and we're going to see some changes. But all of that is okay. You don't have to have all of it. It doesn't have to check all the boxes. I'm happy to have those cases, and I'm excited to have them. You know, and the other thing, like I said, is this is just about how awesome these last, I don't know, really, as long as I can remember, these specialty sets have just set the bar incredibly high. I mean, think about it. Think about Paldean Fates, right? You got the Charizard, you got the Bubble Mew. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You got those baby shinies, which are absolutely doing well. You expect this set to be going in the middle of the Pokemon Pop and Flop, but guess what? It is holding strong. It is doing better than I and a lot of people out there thought, so kudos to Paldean Fates. Then you got Scarlet and Violet 151, brought a ton of people back to the hobby, right? Scarlet and Violet 151. Yeah, we're going to look at the 2 chase cards, but really you could look at any number of cards from Scarlet and Violet 151. The art is amazing. It's brought a ton of people back. Like, I don't know what the next specialty set is that can dethrone 151. I think we're going to have to wait and see what happens around Christmas time, see if there's a big reprint or restock, but either way, Pokemon 151 is certainly setting the bar high. Then you got Crown Zenith, right? What an epic end to the Sword and Shield era. Crown Zenith is absolute fire set. You got Pokemon Go. Okay, listen, Pokemon Go, not the best from a collecting and investing standpoint. As I said earlier, not every single one is going to check all of those boxes, but guess what? At least you got Mewtwo in there, and it's tied to the world, one of the world's busiest apps in the world, which is Pokemon Go. There's an incredible percentage of the US population and the world population for that matter that plays Pokemon Go. It's just incredible. Then you get the celebration set, an anniversary set. Sometimes I feel like anniversary sets need a little years behind them before you start to see full potential. Celebrations is far from reaching full potential, but I do think it's an anniversary set. I think it's got opportunity in the future. You get Shining Fates right here. Poor Shining Fates. Shining Fates was all kinds of hyped, but then guess what? It got absolutely stomped into the ground because of the pandemic. Listen, ETBs of Shining Fates were going for like $150. I know those of us who are in the hobby now find it hard to believe that they were going for $150, but it came out, the pandemic launched, and guess what? Prices skyrocketed, and Pokemon did exactly what they should have done. They printed to demand as best as they could, except they overshot the gap a little bit, and they printed so much you can still pick up Shining Fates for next to nothing from an ETB perspective. But again, it's got a Charizard in there, which we're going to look at later on, so Shining Fates had some opportunity, but again, macro level things sometimes happen that affect sets, and you can't control it, so that's the thing there. Champion's Path, epic cards in Champion's Path, right? Like, I think Champion's Path is going to highlight a lot of things that we're talking about when we dig into it in a second. Hidden Fates, awesome cards, really expensive cards up in there. You got a $450 Zard we're going to look at, and then Detective Pikachu. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to include that or not, right? There's no Elite Trainer boxes for Detective Pikachu, but I thought I should include it because it is a specialty set and it does count, and I wanted to keep everything true to form. But Detective Pikachu, again, no ETBs out there. There's some cards in there we'll talk about, but nothing special. But with all of that awesomeness, I mean, just think about it. Look at these. Not all of us know these sets. All of us have memories of these sets. All of us can think of one or two cards that are pretty cool from all of these sets. And then along comes poor Shrouded Fable, and it's got all of this hype to live up to. Again, I think it's going to check a lot of the hype boxes in terms of the game, but in this video, we're going to look far and deep into the singles cards, and we're going to see if it can hang up from that perspective. Now, I did say that I'm getting my Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes. There's one other product which I think is super unique and super cool from Shrouded Fables, and I'm going to be picking that up as well, and I am going to share that at the end, and I think it is really cool, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it because I think the artwork is absolutely stunning and unlike anything that we've ever seen. So before we get into this, if you all enjoy this type of data-driven, kind of looking behind the curtains type views, we do this stuff all the time here on the PikiPikaPapa channel, so if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, we would love it if you did it and join this community. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Those three small things go a long way in helping my channel out, and I really appreciate it. So with that being said, let's do what I said we were going to do, and let's look at how high of a bar has been set for poor Shrouded Fable from a collecting and investing standpoint. So we'll start with Paldean Fates. I talked about how these cards are performing, which the way that we would not expect them to. We'd expect them to be in the middle of the Pokemon flop, and the Charizard has come down a little bit, but it's still holding over the $100 price. Like, that is so incredible for it to still be north of $100. And then you got the Bubble Mew, which has been on an absolute tear. The Bubble Mew isn't just holding, it's actually appreciating in price. So Paldean Fates is off to a fire start with some big name Pokemon. Don't forget about my shiny baby Pikachu in there as well. Like, all the big names are in there. Checks every box you could possibly want, right? Then, prior to that was 151. Talk about checking every freaking box you possibly could, right? You got Charizards in there, you got Blastoise in there. You could look at the top 5, the top 15. You could look at the top 30 cards, and you are going to be overwhelmed with an amazing amount of artwork. It is just absolutely stunning. It has brought people back into the hobby. It is incredible. It is going to be interesting to see if they do any kind of reprint around the holiday season. We've all seen what's happened to Japanese 151, right? Like, they did a restock of the booster boxes, and the booster box, excuse me, and those things have just absolutely cratered in price. Now, doesn't mean that they can't rebound, doesn't mean that 5 years from now they won't be back up to where they were before, but it'll be interesting to see if on the English side we have quite as aggressive of a reprint or a restock as we do coming into the holiday season, because the Pokemon company realizes they could sell this as fast as they could print it. So something interesting to keep an eye on as we move forward. Crown Zenith, I love Crown Zenith. I've done like 50 videos on Crown Zenith. I did videos before it came out, after it came out. I did it when it was going up, I did it when it was going down, and I still do them to this day. Absolutely love Crown Zenith. You got the Giratina, the Arceus, the Dialga, you got that Mewtwo V-Star, which I absolutely am obsessed with. Love that card, love the art, with such a fitting end to the end of the Sword and Shield era, right? Awesome cards, awesome Pokemon, just everything I love about that. We talked about Pokemon Go, not the best from a collecting and investing standpoint. We talked about how you can still buy this on the Pokemon Center right now from an ETB perspective, but at least you got Mewtwo in there, right? You got a Fire Mewtwo V-Star right here. You got the Mewtwo V, which is an alt art variant coming in there. You know, the Mewtwo V-Star is at $34, and The other one's at $28.50, so nothing to shake a fist at. Is it going to make you rich if you go out and buy a ton of them? Probably not, but does it have some cool cards? Is it tied to an amazing app? Is it also got some big names in it? Check, check, check. So you can do a lot worse than Pokemon Go has done in this series. Now, we get to the celebration set right here. That Charizard is obviously the biggest and the baddest card, coming in at about $78. After that, there is a very steep drop off. You got the Umbreon Gold Star reprint here at $15, and there's not a lot of high value cards in this set. It's a smaller set, not a ton of cards were in it, so pull rates aren't necessarily hard. However, the packs were obviously smaller. There was only 4 cards per pack, so lots of things to unpack about the celebration set. But I will say this, I do think in time, in the long run, it will take longer for this to reach maturity, but I do think Celebrations is going to be just fine in the long run. Next one, Shining Fates. Shining Fates is not going to be okay in the long run, okay? And I'm not saying that it won't gain a little bit in price over time because it's a sealed product and Pokemon just has a tendency to do that, but this set was just printed into the ground. This Charizard right here, I think there's 18,000 of these in PSA 10 holders right now. It's actually amazing to me that this has retained an $83 raw price, but still, again, we're starting to see this trend, right? Every single time we look at 2 new cards, we see some big bad names at the very top. We see some awesome artwork. Like, we're seeing a ton of Charizards, and speaking of that, when you get to the next set, Champion's Path. Champion's Path was cornerstoned by Charizard, right? You've got the Rainbow and you've got this Full Art V Secret right here. Both of them are over $175. Like, really exciting cards, really engaging cards, really cool artwork here, and I absolutely love that. And then continuing with the Charizard, when you get to Hidden Fates, that Charizard GX, $450, a crazy hard card to get in a Gem Mint 10 from PSA, right? The centering is an absolute train wreck, so that's why the price is so high. And the next card, the Umbreon, is still over $164. It's knocking on the door of $165. I mean, think about all of these awesome cards that we have looked at so far. These are just from specialty sets, right? And this is going in chronological order from Paldean Fates all the way back. Now we are going to end with Detective Pikachu. And again, as I said, lots of uniqueness to Detective Pikachu from the fact that there's no ETBs. You know, the best cards from Detective Pikachu are the promos. But again, I like to make sure that everything is concise and everything follows the same pattern. So from the actual set itself, these are the most expensive cards. Even though there's no material value to them, right? You still have the big names. You've still got Charizard. You've still got Detective Pikachu on here, right? So when you think about all of these sets, all of the awesomeness, all of the hype that they've brought, all of the fire that they've been able to bring to the Pokemon hobby, then we're going to get back into Shrouded Fables. So we're going to look at the top 10 cards right now. And I do want to say this. So these are the top 10 cards and their value in the Japanese version. This is about, I don't know, a week after it launched in Japan. And I don't like to do it immediately. I like to give it about a week to float out. Now, you're going to be watching this much further down the road because this is something I'm pre-shooting because I'm going on vacation. But the prices could have changed. These cards could have shifted. But what we typically see is they start off really high and they go through the Pokemon pop and flop. So the prices that you're looking at might be much higher than they are by the time the video actually airs. But again, if the prices are super high now or are supposed to be, we're jumping off at a $69 chase card right there, which is a pretty low chase card to jump off with. And then when you look at the names, when you look at the artwork, first I'm going to say this, the artwork is absolutely awesome, okay? I love the artwork on this. But when you look at the names of the Pokemon, right, I will be honest with you, I say this all the time, like I don't play the video game, like I don't play the TCG. All I do is I collect this. I enjoy doing this with my family. I enjoy doing this with you. I think it's a great investment opportunity. I have tons and tons of Pokemon stuff. You don't have to play the game. You don't have to play the card game itself in order to find value in order to be a Pokemon hoarder like I am. However, when I get to a set and I have to look up how to pronounce a lot of the names or when I have to Google them, that is probably not a good sign for the long-term price appreciation of some of these cards. Now, I do love the Cassiopeia card, which is actually Penny. I will forever call that card Penny, so forgive me. I do love the artwork on that. If there's one card from this set that I actually want that I'll actually probably go after and get, I love that. I don't know what it is about it. I'm kind of in the computer space, so the fact that it looks like she's working on some computer stuff, I don't know. I like that card a lot, so I think I'll go after that. But you know, after that, you got the Okidogi card on there, right? You got the Monkey Dory on there. You got Power Hourglass. You got Earthen Vessel. You know, Earthen Vessel is a top 5 card, and I get it. Earthen Vessel is used a lot in the game, and there hasn't been a really cool variety card of Earthen Vessel that's come out. We just featured that card. We did a list of the top 10 cards that exchanged hands most on TCG Player that were under $50, right? And Earthen Vessel, the basic version, was on there. So obviously there's a lot of interest in that card, so I'm not surprised to see it as high. But again, we all know that that card, once it rotates out and once it falls out of favor, once there's a better deck which can utilize other cards, like that card is going to drop like a rock. Your number 4 card is going to fall out off there. So it's just interesting to me when I look at these. I love the artwork. If it was just based on art, I think that this would do really well, but unfortunately, we've got to have some names tied to it. I do think in the short run, these cards, thanks to the playability, are going to be able to hold some strong prices, but again, I have such a long time horizon, I'm very concerned about where these cards are going to be 5, 10, 15 years further down the road. So a lot of times we'll find cards outside of the top 10 that can be sneaky good. So I thought, let's look outside of the top 10 and let's see if there's any underlying cards. And spoiler alert, there isn't. Nothing on here gets me a whole lot of excited, and I hope that I'm in the minority. I hope everybody's watching this video and they're typing fiery comments right now telling me how dumb I am. The art's going to hold this set up, like the playability of these cards are fire, like, hey, I've always wanted a great Okidogi card, or, you know, all of that. But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of collectors and investors who feel like this set falls a little short. You could have done anything, and I know it's got to tie into the game. I think there was a lot of opportunities to throw something in here just to make it a little bit more special, because it is a specialty set, and I think they fell short. So now that I'm done talking about the top 20 cards and how I'm not big of a fan of them, let me go ahead and talk about the thing that I am a huge fan of, and that is this. This Greninja card right here, I am so incredibly excited about. This is a brand new type of artwork. This is only available in this Greninja EX box, and it's this wood type art. It's a Japanese type. It's wood block art, and you can see in there the swirls on it. If you've ever taken or even look at a 2x4, right? Look at the top part. You'll see the earth rings on it. The earth rings are the tree rings, like the rings represent how old the tree is, blah, 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 all that stuff. But I love the way that they're interacting with that, and I love the way that they're pulling that into this card. Even if this card is not worth anything at all, this is a card that I will be extremely excited to have. I'm going to send it to PSA. I want to get it in a PSA 10. I think this is really cool, especially if they continue with this type of artwork further down the road. We all know Greninja's getting a lot of love right now, right? Like, that Greninja special illustration rare that's out there is just absolutely shooting through the roof. Maybe by the time this video comes out, it will have calmed down a little bit, but at the time I'm shooting, this thing is going up and to the right like an absolute rocket ship. So it'll be interesting, but I am very, very excited to have my Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. Again, if nobody likes this set, if nobody buys those ETBs, if nobody puts them away and keeps them sealed, then further down the road, I will be a very happy camper if I'm the only one with them sitting in my Pokemon closet. I am very excited to get this collection box. I think the artwork on this Greninja is fire. There's 3 different variants, but I'm specifically going after the Greninja. Very, very excited to have this. Very excited to get my hands on it and look at it. And outside of that, Shrouded Fable isn't for me. That's okay. Not every set has to be for you. Not every set has to be for me. Not every set has to be the biggest and the baddest in the world, or else we would just be stuck with this constant level of mediocrity. We need some sets to be great, some sets to be okay, and some sets not so much. And for me, Shrouded Fable falls into the not so much bucket. So listen, if you made it to the end of the video, if you like this type of content, we do fun data dives, and my goal is to always help you play chess when everybody else is playing checkers. So hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, drop them down below, and if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an epic one, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.